Welcome to Policy on Demand. I'm Todd Metcalf. It seems like everywhere we turn these days, we hear about generative AI or GenAI. But in reality, we're still in the early days of its broad adoption. While contending with many unanswered questions, how are companies developing, adopting, and executing such an early days GenAI strategy? Joining me to answer that question and others is Mohini Singh, a director with PwC's Governance Insight Center. Mohini, welcome.
Thank you, Todd. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Mohini, why is it critical for companies to develop a GenAI strategy?
Well, Todd, as you know, AI has been a part of our everyday lives for many years now. But what ChatGPT did was it made us aware of the full range of AI applications. And it was also a watershed moment for leaders, because they began to realize that business transformation was not only necessary, but actually certain for them to remain competitive and relevant. So we encourage leaders to think about their GenAI strategy now so that they don't miss out from the opportunities that these capabilities represent. We believe that one of the biggest risks right now is the risk of actually doing nothing.
So, following up on that, what are some examples of how companies and industries are leveraging GenAI and the opportunities it provides?
Okay, so let me give you the experience of a consumer packaged goods company. What they wanted to do was to deploy GenAI in their customer engagement operations. And it can actually be very powerful because GenAI can draw from various databases and make the experience conversational, personalized. And what it did was it drew from these databases, took in what the customer was saying, and it could actually fill out service tickets, provide easy Q&A access, and make sense of all of that unstructured data, things like invoices and customer reviews. But the leaders then thought, well, what if we were to tailor these models and possibly apply them across the organization? HR, finance, compliance, procurement. And they found that they could. But it was because they came up for air and actually thought about their strategy that the resulting gains actually just dwarfed those associated with just customer engagement. I'd also like to give you the example of an industry that has deployed it quite successfully, the healthcare industry. Healthcare and pharmaceutical firms have always been able to access their own patient records, and AI can identify patterns and uncover more effective treatments. But they haven't been able to share that data, so all the advances have been limited to within the four walls of that organization. What GenAI can effectively do is create fully anonymized synthetic databases that allow you to have safe, secure transfer of large pools of information. And the larger the pool of information, the greater the opportunities for medical breakthroughs.
That's fascinating. So, that also raises a lot of questions, I think, for companies and ethics, et cetera, et cetera. So how are companies approaching the development of GenAI strategy?
So what we have seen in the marketplace is that early leaders are developing a strategy that's focused on 6 critical priorities. They are 1, overseeing the balancing of AI risks and rewards. 2, managing the alignment of your GenAI strategy with your digital strategy. 3, focusing on experimentation with an eye for scaling. Think of the consumer packaged goods company. 4, managing strategic thinking about productivity gains. 5, this is really critical, placing people at the heart of your GenAI strategy. And 6, understanding your ecosystem so you can unlock the potential benefits. The healthcare industry is a perfect example.
You mentioned putting people at the center of the strategy. So there's a nervousness about jobs potentially lost to AI. So I can imagine that if companies are introducing AI into their operations, they have to anticipate that it will raise concerns among their employees. So how are companies speaking with their people about GenAI? And do you have any tips about starting this conversation?
Sure. There are certainly concerns. There's no doubt about it. In fact, PwC's Global Workforce Hopes and Fears survey, if I've got that right, showed us that less than 30% of the workforce actually believe that AI will create new job opportunities for them. So what directors and management need to focus on is alleviating these concerns of their people and create a culture of innovation and learning. How do they do this? It's really important to communicate with your people early on. Explain to them what the goals of the organization are. How does your GenAI strategy fit in with your business strategy? And how can it actually enhance the workforce? In order to do that, it's really important for management to invest in training and upskilling the workforce. Because when they do that, your people can actually take advantage of the new opportunities that are out there and allow GenAI or AI to take over the more mundane aspects of your job, which will actually increase job satisfaction.
Thank you. So we've covered a lot. So just in the last few minutes, do you have any final thoughts to share on this emerging GenAI strategy?
So this is an interesting number. PwC research says that AI will add $15.7 trillion to the global economy by just 2030, which is not far away. So who's going to get the biggest share of this prize? We believe it's the people who take the lead now. So we encourage leaders, start developing a GenAI strategy. It's not a long-term thing. Think in terms of weeks, not months, recognizing that that strategy will continue to evolve over time.
Thank you, Mohini. This has been a very interesting conversation.
Thank you, Todd, and I hope our viewers find it useful.
A programming note for our viewers. Don't miss the other episodes related to governance and how company boards are tackling the most challenging issues of the day, and our series Election Watch, analyzing and interpreting this year's presidential election. Thank you, as always, for joining us, and we'll see you next time.